social media is changing. And I mean, here let me set the baseline. We're right after the presidential election, right? That's like right where we are right now, like today. We're right after the presidential election. And all of the news broadcasters, the big boys, you know, the ABCs, the NBCs, the CBSs, the CNNs, and all of them, right? They were saying, oh, this is a close race, you know. And it's Trump versus Harris. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. They were both running for the presidency. And the big boys were saying what it was. And if you go to social media, they weren't giving sort of like the same data. It was a lot of the same data, but for the most part, it wasn't being driven as it was through the big boys. But to me, this is just to me, the days of the big boys are over. Unless they do something to reinvent themselves, those days are over. And here's what I mean. You got folks now that run these social media platforms. Man, they got 5 million viewers. They got, you know, like 10 million subscribers. They've got audiences, like more than what some of these networks are reaching, right? And they're talking to them every day. And these boys are impacting things, you know. They're like sitting there talking about stuff. And this seems like, this is what I mean by social media is changing. Everybody is going to social media for their news and information now. Everybody's going there for that news and information instead of like the nightly news shows. Where am I? Okay, we got into a real cloudy area. I think you can still see me. Oh, back to what I was saying about social media and these platforms. These podcasts, they got a footprint that's reaching millions of people. And nobody's going to the big boys anymore. And they had their base convinced that it was going to be one way, and it ended up totally different. Let me tell you what happened. They were talking about how close it was, but the final result was this. It was a freaking landslide. It was a landslide. They talk about the battleground states, right? They were talking about these battleground states, and I'm just gonna guess, but I think they said it was like 7 of them. 7, I'm gonna say 7 battlegrounds. It was like 7 battleground states, and it's a toss-up. And we expecting one to win 4 and one to win 3, or it's gonna be close, you know. It's a 50-49 with a 1% chance of error. And it didn't end up like that at all. It didn't end up like that at all. Ended up being a landslide. And that's what I mean by this whole thing has changed. And when you used to go to the big boys for your info, this whole paradigm has shifted, and nobody's doing that anymore. Those days are over. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, all of y'all, if you ever look at this podcast, I'm gonna tell you, you need to reinvent yourself. You need to find a way to reinvent yourself before you become like the dinosaur. And all of a sudden you show up for work one day and they say the ABC News is no longer needed. And you don't want to get to that point, so you need to talk about reinventing yourself, because nobody's going out there anymore. Everybody's going to social media for that news. So you better do something. Because the good old days of having a nice cushy job where you're making a couple of million a year, one of these days them executives gonna look at it and go, hey man, everybody's out on these podcasts information and news. We need to be investing in these podcast people. So, word of warning, get with the program. And trust me when I tell you on this here, I don't see things as clearly as a lot of true pundits and people that look at this stuff for a living. But I'm just talking about from the common man's point of view. Man, it looked like y'all missed the boat on this one bad. And that tells everybody something about what you're doing or what you're not doing. Or I don't know I wouldn't say that. If you're pushing an agenda, that's your own agenda versus giving everybody the truth and stuff, I really do believe they were trying to give us the truth, though. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. So I'm not going to pick on them. I'm just going to say that time to change.